My name is Omar Himsel. I'm a technical consultant with HTG, where I've been for 2 years. Prior to that, I was with multinational IT providers and telecoms giants as a consultant and specialist in Citrix, virtualization, Windows, infrastructure, and so on. Well, at its core, it's a full house profile solution, and that overcomes blockers with modern EUC transformations, such as Office 365 in a virtualized workspace. It allows mailbox searches to be enabled, and that index can roam around between hosts or non-persistent machines with the users. And it behaves like a local profile would, and that's partly because, to all intents and purposes, it is a local profile. So, in terms of how FSLogix actually works, at a high level, it's built on mini filter drivers, and what they can do is seamlessly and transparently to the OS and the file system that can redirect or hide files and content. So using those as opposed to maybe a junction point, or there are other ways to do it that other solutions in the marketplace use. That allows you to redirect your profile or office content out to a virtual hard disk drive seamlessly, and you can access that data over the network from a storage layer on a block level, and that gives you fast and efficient access. That storage can be traditional SMB file share, or you can leverage Azure storage directly with a local cache of the profile kept on the machine. It's a simple concept really, but it's executed very well. There's a lot of customization in there, and that can suit enterprise requirements, and it ships with a number of other products in the suite, and that enables great user experiences such as application masking, Java, version control, and so on. So late last year, Microsoft seemed to have come to the same conclusion that we did at HTG. FSLogix was the best solution for modern profile roaming requirements, and they bought the company. They needed a method to manage profiles in their flagship Windows Virtual Desktop offering that was in the works, and going forward, FSLogix will be integral to Windows Virtual Desktop as the preferred or only profile solution. Just last week, Microsoft announced a public preview of Windows Virtual Desktop on Azure. And following that announcement, Scott Manchester, who's the group manager of RDS at Microsoft, he tweeted that FSLogix entitlement will also be included with Microsoft 365 licensing at various levels, Windows 10, E3 and E5, and also included with RDS CALs for free. And that will allow new and existing Microsoft customers to benefit. And you can refer to the Microsoft announcement on Windows Virtual Desktop, or friend of the show, jamesrankin.com, and check out the HTG website for full details on that. So it allows roaming of your Office 365 cached mailbox, and it was the first complete offering to do so. It allows search in Outlook for both client and server OS, so a Windows 10 search database is relatively straightforward to pick up and move around, but for the server search database, that's a combined database of all the users on that box, so segmenting that and making that portable has always been a bit of a challenge. FSLogix reduces the number of gold images or OS images that you require. It's much simpler than app layering, for example, for most use cases anyway. Being able to install all your software to your gold image, and then using the FSLogix app masking, be able to simply hide all traces of the installation of a given application, unless you're a member of a group or a function that you permit access to have that. To the extent that it meets licensing audit requirements from Microsoft for things like Visio and Project, because we're using those special mini filter drivers to completely hide it from the file system. Obviously, as I said, it behaves just like a local profile would, and not like other profile solutions. So this allows your kind of applications that are installed into the profile, into app data, so things like OneDrive, Teams, It can support SharePoint sync and any other, as I say, profile-centric applications that have been difficult to manage historically. Because you're connecting the whole profile as a virtual disk and just accessing it on demand at a block level, your logons become very quick. All your personalization of all profile content remains intact, but you can still control that content. So if there's stuff that you wanted to exclude, then you can configure it to abandon content as you wish on logoff. You can directly address the storage providers as well, so that's another benefit in terms of you may not necessarily need to host a file server and have the additional overheads of running that, especially in a cloud environment. You can integrate directly with Azure Blob Storage or the Azure file shares now that the NTFS permissioning on those is in preview. As well as obviously you can leverage your existing storage solutions if you have those in place. The cloud cache functionality that builds in redundancy for container storage, and it enhances performance where a file or connection might be unreliable or congested. FSLogix has really kept ahead of the curve. There's been other products released since that offer parts of the same functionality, but I think the Microsoft acquisition speaks volumes on the comparison. You can review features versus the others. Your Ivanti, your profile management, your liquidware, user profile disks. There's a great blog on David Wilkinson's site, which is Wilkie IT, another friend of the show. But he's got a great article on there about the comparative features of these various offerings. In the coming months, Windows Virtual Desktop will be moving into general availability, and the FSLogix licensing options revealed will be firmed up, and the licensing options and the mechanism put in place. That's a bit of a moving target at the minute as Microsoft bring Windows Virtual Desktop to the market, and keep an eye on our site and social media for news on how that's developing. In the meantime, you can work with FSLogix partners like HTG, get some consultancy. We can sort you out with trial software, interim licensing, and professional advice and services on getting that set up. So we're a primary partner for the FSLogix product. We've got close ties to the creators of FSLogix and a strong partner relationship with Microsoft that means we'll be staying on the inside track as well. We can provide professional services for design, configuration, migration and deployment of FSLogix containers into a new or existing environment. And we've got a catalogue of existing clients who are successfully using FSLogix across on-premise, hybrid, cloud-first deployments. Some real diverse requirements and setups in there as well. Windows Virtual Desktop's the new cutting edge. We're going to be right there with you and helping you along there. Our consultants have experience of advanced deployment techniques and functionality with FSLogix, and it's not just a case of setting up straightforward profile containers. There's a whole list of concurrent access, search database, roaming for multi-user, managing those containers across regions, or being able to split those across filers with zero-touch deployments for that kind of thing. Migration techniques from roaming or UPM profiles that might already exist. Application masking and those rules and filters that control who sees what applications. Things like Java version control that I didn't mention, but can control which version of Java you use against a given URL or list of URLs. That allows you to restrict your exposure to having an old version of Java out there, whilst still being able to support having the latest version for the majority of things. Really just letting you have the homebrew Java application that still requires 1.6 to still work. Other things, you've got that filtering of the profile content and being able to exclude and abandon content on logoff, the cloud cache integration of blob storage or a filer for SMB storage, and having that local cached copy of the profile and the resilience and redundancy that gives you, as well as things like Teams, OneDrive, and include things like personal folder redirection in there. So it's a vast area, and there's a lot of things that you can control and benefit from with FSLogix. And finally, HTG have actually been providing support services to supplement FSLogix's own internal capability directly. So if you've had a support case with FSLogix in the last couple of years, you've probably already worked with HTG. What that's also meant is that we've provided close investigation and problem management with the FSLogix developers to enhance the product, as well as bug fixes, and additionally feature requests that from our experience in the field with enterprises and clients who are using FSLogix, we see potential gaps in functionality, and we've been able to flag those and have those innovations added to the solutions. So really, feel free to reach out at HTG UK, or check out the links that accompany this video, and you'll find all our contact details.